I quit my job with no money saved, no backup plan, no plan B. And I want to share my journey with you. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Lachey Settles, a serial entrepreneur, a content creator, and a Christian business coach for Christian women entrepreneurs and creatives. And I'm also a North Carolina real estate agent. And if you have landed on this video, it's because there's a part of you that is super curious about full-time entrepreneurship. You're contemplating quitting your job. You just feel like God has created you for more, and you are trying to navigate that current space in your life, trying to figure out what that more is, what you should do next, the path that you should take. And I am going to share with you everything there is to know. Well, not everything, but I'm going to share with you some of my journey just to give you some insight on what this life looks like, the path that I took, and how God has been with me, and how I want to reassure you that whatever you choose to do after you watch this video, God will be with you. So let me start off by telling you a little bit about me. I am a Carolina girl. I am from North Carolina. I am currently 32 years old. And since I was a very little girl, I have always been super creative. I've had the gift of gab. God has blessed me to be able to formulate my words in a way that they penetrate people, they impact people, they bless the lives of people. And it's so easy for me to just talk. It's so easy for me to pour into people. It's so easy for me to build people up. So God has always given me this gift with words. God has always given me this gift of creativity where I'm always building things. I'm always trying things. I'm always testing things out. I'm very crafty. I'm always doing something with my hands. And so even as a very little girl, I always wondered, what the heck am I supposed to do with all of this creativity? What am I supposed to do with this gift of gab? What am I supposed to do with this gift of words, right? Nothing made sense that people were trying to push me in the direction towards. You know, go to school, get a good education, go to college so you can become a doctor, so you can become a lawyer, so you can become a teacher. All of these things, right, that just created this American dream. And baby, I did not feel like I fit into that American dream. It just was not for me. I felt confined. I felt restricted. I felt overwhelmed. I felt like this is just not for me, but I don't know what's for me, right? I felt like straight out of high school, I just could not see myself being in college for a super long time. I enrolled in college, hated it, right? I enrolled in a four-year university, absolutely hated it, moved home, felt like a failure because in high school, everybody was like, yes, she's going to be super successful. I had a great high GPA in school. Even if you see me use a lot of slang on social media, I promise you I know how to talk. I'm a country girl, but I know how to talk, and I'm very smart. Very high GPA in school. 9th grade, I had the highest grade point average. I had so many different medals and awards. Senior year, I was the senior class vice president. Like, I've always been in positions of leadership. I have always set the tone for people. I've always led the way for people. But when it came to graduating high school and figuring out what the heck I wanted to do in my life, the math just was not mathing for me. And I was just like, God, what do you want me to do? And everybody was like, oh, you're so great with words. Maybe you should go to school for psychology and become a psychologist. But I just could not fathom spending that amount of time in school, right? So went to the four-year university, hated it, came home and felt like a failure. Enrolled in community college, started working at a fast food restaurant. After working at that fast food restaurant, I worked at my first call center. And at that age, I was rolling in the dough because the call centers was where the money was, right? I felt like it was a super easy job, sitting at a desk, sitting at a cubicle, talking on the phone all day, handling customers, right? But that got old to me very fast. Even though the money was, you know, it just got old to me very fast. And I was just so overwhelmed. I did not know what the heck I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted a life of freedom. I wanted some flexibility. I wanted control of my time. This is me having this mindset at 19, 20 years old. I just knew I just wanted control of my time. I just was not interested in clocking into anybody's job for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, and then just being restricted to how long I could take a lunch. That was just very overwhelming. And so let me tell you something. If you are a person that is overwhelmed by that type of structure, that type of system, you are not crazy. I promise you, you're not crazy. I know that this is the norm for a lot of people. I'm not kicking anybody that works a 9 to 5 or anything like that. But there are some of us that just knows that's not where God has us. There's more for us. There's more for us to do. And you're just in a place where you're trying to figure out what that even looks like. And you're contemplating quitting your job. And maybe you have people in your ear like, girl, what are you going to do? Where's your stability going to come from? You have to pay your bills. You have to take care of your children. You have a household. You have all of these different things. What are you going to do? I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna trust God like I did. You're gonna trust God like I did. Nonetheless, let's get back into the story. So I worked at all of these different call centers, and I remember I might have worked at like 4 or 5 call centers, and I was just so overwhelmed. I felt like I was dying. I know that feels or sounds so extreme, but as a creative, if you are watching this and you are creative, you're business savvy, you're an entrepreneur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just sitting there all day long, taking calls, everything just becomes mundane. It's like that creative part of you, it feels like it's dying. It's just like, you're so unfulfilled, and then you find yourself battling depression or depressive thoughts, and you're just overwhelmed, and you're always on edge, and you always got an attitude, and people are like, oh, you such a mean person, or you know, whatever it is that they say about you, and it's not even that. You're just so unfulfilled, and you're trying to figure out, how do you get to more? I'm gonna tell you. So I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but I am 32 years old. At the time that I was contemplating quitting my job, I was 23 years old. At that particular time, I had started a very small business where I was selling women's clothing online. It was super inconsistent. Sales were super inconsistent, but I just knew I just wanted to bet on myself. I remember being at work. I was 23 years old at the time. I was working at another call center. Hated it, right? I already had told one of my friends when I start the job, this is the last job that I'm working. I'm not working another job after this. This is it for me. And she was like, what are you gonna do? Like, we're so young. There's so much you want to do. You're running your business. It takes money to run your business. I'm like, I don't know, but this is my last job, and I'm not gonna be here for 6 months. Power of the tongue, because I was not there 6 months. I started the job on October the 31st, November, December, January, February. I quit that job in February. So I was there for about 4 months, and I quit. I remember before I quit, I felt it in my bones. That day that I woke up, I knew it. I just felt it. I tried to push myself. I was thinking about calling out of work. I was just like, no, I'm just gonna go, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it through the day. But let me just rewind a little bit. Before we even got to that point, right? I remember being at work, and I was so miserable at work. Now, let me tell you the crazy thing. I was one of the top performers on my team. So all of my stats were super amazing, right? I was great at my job. I've always been a hard worker, a great worker. You tell me what to do, I'm gonna master it, right? So working was not a problem. Work ethic was not the problem. I just felt so unfulfilled, right? And I was just so annoyed. I would go to work, wouldn't really talk to anybody other than, hey, I would sit at my cubicle, and I would just do my job, right? Do my job, clock out, go home. Hated the job, but I was excellent because I have always believed in having a spirit of excellence in everything that you do. So I had customer service down pat. I had my workflow down pat. I had all of my stats together. So I was a very high performer at work, right? I was one of the top performers at work, but I just was so unfulfilled. And I remember sitting at my job. I was on a particular phone call, and if you work in customer service or you've ever worked at a call center, then you already know customers will call in irate because they don't have to see you face to face, and people will say really rude things to you over the phone. So this particular phone call was no different, but I got on a particular phone call with a customer, and I worked in retention. If you know anything about retention, it's where customers call in to cancel their services, their subscriptions, and you have to try to convince them to stay and give them promos and discounts and things of that nature, right? You try to do de-escalation. You try to de-escalate the call and things of that nature to just kind of calm them down and to get them to stay with the company, right? I could do the job like the back of my hand, you know? But it was just that particular day, I got on the phone with a customer, and he was so irate, and he was cussing, and he was just saying all kind of stuff, and I was just thinking to myself, yeah, I'm over this. I'm so over this. And I remember going to look at my schedule for the day to see what time my lunch was scheduled to be. And when I saw my lunchtime and it was in about an hour, I was like, if I don't change my mind, I am going to leave at lunch and I'm never coming back. And that's exactly what I did. But let me fast forward to about a week before that. I remember calling my mom, because I'm a mommy's girl. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I want to quit so bad. I just want to risk it all on myself. I'll just take whatever comes along with the journey. I'm so sick of this. I'm so tired of this. I was crying on my break. I was just so frustrated, so overwhelmed. I'm like, there has to be more to life than working 40 hours at a company that you hate and you're making money, but it just takes away so much of your time. It has to be more for me than this. I would rather work for myself and figure it out. Even if I had a struggle sometimes, I would just rather figure it out on my own terms than to have someone tell me how I can live my life, how many hours I have to work, when I clock in, when I clock out, what time I go to break. I just was so over it, so over it. And the shift that I worked, it was like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., right? So my whole day was gone every day. And I was just like, no, I'm too young for this. Like, no, I want to live life on my own terms. And I was talking to my mommy, and my mom was like, if you want to quit, quit. If you want to risk it all and take that chance on yourself, then do that. And she was like, however, I want you to at least work another 2 weeks so that you have one more check to sit on until you figure out what you're going to do next. And I was like, okay. So here we are a week later. I'm trying to work 2 weeks, right? And that's when I told you guys I was on the phone call with the customer, and I was just like, yeah. I had already woke up that morning, felt it in my bones. I was just like, yeah, this is not, no, no. And so I clocked out for lunch. Well, yeah, I clocked out for lunch and I did not go back. I will never forget that day, you guys, never. I will never forget that day. I remember getting in a car for lunch and I just bust out crying as soon as I got to my car, and I was just like, God, please, like, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave, and whatever happens, just happens. If I lose everything, I had a super nice car at that time. I was like, if I lose everything, I don't care. I'm just over this. I want to live life on my own terms. I don't want to punch another clock. And I know y'all are probably like, girl, 23, how many clocks did you punch, babes? I have been a hustler my whole life, okay? I started making my own money when I was about 14 years old. I used to sell mixed CDs. I used to put music on people's MP3 players for them. I told you guys I'm super creative. I have decorated parties. I've done so much in this life. It's insane, right? But I have been making my own money since I was like 14 years old. I got my first job, 16. It was like under the table. And then I started working my first job when I was 19 years old, like W-2. I was 19 years old, and so I had been working literally since I was 16. And so here it is, I'm 23. I've been working 7 years, and I just had not found anything that I love to do. It would be like I would start off and I'd be super pumped and motivated, and because I was always a top performer and an overachiever at the job, I always got recognized for the things that I did at work, but I still felt unfulfilled. I was like, I don't want to sit here in this office. I don't want to sit here in this cubicle. I don't want to sit here and do this all day. Like, I just don't, right? I want more control over my time. And so I remember getting in my car and I was just crying, and I was like, Lord, I don't care what comes with this journey, what I lose. If you will grace me, if you will grace me to be a full-time entrepreneur, I will take whatever comes with the journey, the highs, the lows, the making a lot of money to making no money. If I have to lose things, just grace me to figure this out on my own. And I am here to tell you, if that's you, if that's how you feel, God will grace you for your journey. God will give you the grit, the tenacity, the endurance, the workmanship, the work ethic, the tools, the resources. He will give it to you, right? If you are serious about stepping out on faith and doing what you feel God has called you to do, you can do it. I know right now you feel like you don't know what's next. You just know right now you want to leave. You want to take a chance on you. I'm talking to you if that's you, right? And what I want to tell you is this: the same way God was with me is the same way God will be with you as you figure this out. Now, this video is not going to be for everybody. You may be someone that wants to quit your job, but you are the type of person where you need a plan B, right? And so it's in your best interest to create an exit strategy. Now, in the next video, I am going to talk about creating an exit strategy if that's something that you want to do. But if you are a person like me, you are a risk taker, you're like, whatever comes, I'm willing to deal with it. I'm just here to tell you that you are not crazy. My journey of entrepreneurship has not been perfect by far. I have done tons and tons and tons of things legal to sustain myself, but I've done so much to sustain myself, but I would not trade my journey for anything. So I quit my job when I was 23 years old. I am 32, right? So, wow, it's almost been 10 years, right? Not too far from 10 years, but I was 23 when I did this. I just turned 32. And what I can tell you is I know God to be a keeper. I know God to be a way maker. I know God to be a sustainer. I know God to give you favor with man. I know God to just make provision for you, and it makes no sense how the provision was made. I know what it's like to feel like this is a journey of obedience, even though you don't have the full picture, even though you look crazy to people, even though you may not have a backup plan, you may not have money saved, and people are like, well, you got more bills than you got money. What the heck are you going to do? I know what that feels like, and I know what that feels like to feel like that and to still feel like, even though you look crazy, you know that you're following God. You know that God told you that you can walk this journey, that you can walk this path, and that he will be with you. I'm just here to tell you, I know what that's like, and I know that you're not crazy. And God will make provision. I've seen God. Sorry, I'm a little churchy, okay? I've seen God make provision for me over and over and over and over again. I've seen times where I've invested in myself, and that same day, someone will reach out to me and say, hey, can I get your Cash App? And I'm like, sure. Give them my Cash App, and literally they would send me the same amount of money that I just chose to invest in myself. Maybe I purchased something for my business, or I invested in a class or something. I've seen it over and over again where God would lay it on the hearts of people to just give, right? I have seen time and time again where I've gotten free opportunities, and it was just amazing that I stumbled across certain opportunities, grants and scholarships and just different things where God has literally sustained me. And so I am here to tell you, although we didn't get into the nitty gritty, we'll get more into that as I continue to create these videos and talk to you about business and entrepreneurship. But literally, I quit my job in 2017. We are in 2025, and I have been a full entrepreneur for those 8 years, and God has been amazing. He has sustained me. He has provided for me. He has granted me the opportunity to do so many things in the realm of entrepreneurship. And I just wanted to talk to you. If you are thinking about quitting your job and you don't have a plan B, you don't have an exit strategy, and you're like, am I crazy? Can I really do this? I am just here to tell you, yes, you can. There are going to be some challenges. There are going to be some hurdles. There are going to be some obstacles. Your life is going to require a new level of discipline. But if you are willing to do that, if you are willing to put in the work, you will not regret this decision.